My name is Detective Jonathan Pierce. After decades of chasing criminals, I thought I knew the patterns of human fear. Turns out I was wrong. It started with a tip about a corporate office downtown. An old building, abandoned for years, supposedly cleared after a bankruptcy. Nothing unusual on paper. Nothing unusual in city records. Yet, somehow, employees still claimed to see lights on at night. Doors opening and closing when no one was inside. Footsteps echoing through empty halls. The company had folded nearly 10 years ago. The building was supposed to be sealed. But someone, or something, was active there. I arrived one gray afternoon. The street was quiet, except for the occasional honk in the distance. The building towered over the street, glass panels reflecting a dim, overcast sky. The main entrance was locked. A property of city redevelopment, do not enter sign hung crookedly on the door. I circled the block, looking for another way in. A side door slightly ajar. I pushed it carefully. It opened with a slow creak. The lobby was dark, empty. Dust covered the floor in a thick layer. Old brochures from the company's last year lay scattered across the reception desk. Faded logos, yellowed paper, long-forgotten pens. I walked slowly, flashlight cutting through the gloom. Every step echoed too loudly. The elevators were rusted and silent. I tested the first floor doors, locked. Then I heard it. A faint click. A door closing somewhere on the second floor. I froze. The building was supposed to be empty. I climbed the stairs cautiously. The sound repeated. Another door closing. Then silence. I reached the third floor. Everything seemed untouched, frozen in time. Cubicles, chairs, discarded coffee cups still on desks. Paperwork stacked neatly on keyboards. As if someone had left moments ago. And yet, I was alone. I checked the office at the far end of the hallway. Glass panels, dust-covered blinds. As I approached, the door clicked shut. I paused. The hallway behind me was empty. The faint hum of the air conditioning had stopped. My flashlight flickered. I tried the door. Locked. Then the lights inside flickered on. Dim, fluorescent tubes, one by one. The hum returned, louder now, buzzing in my ears. I took a step back. Then I heard it, a whisper. "Leave!" I spun around. Nothing. The door clicked again, this time opening just slightly. A sliver of yellow light spilled into the hallway. No one was there. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the building had some old wiring issue. Maybe the wind pushed the door ajar. Maybe someone had broken in. But as I shined my flashlight down the hall, I saw movement. A shadow slipping past the cubicle. Then another. Then nothing. I was alone. And yet I wasn't. By the time I stepped out onto the street, my palms were sweating. I looked back. The building sat silently, windows dark once again. But I knew it wouldn't stay quiet. Somewhere inside, it was still alive. Waiting. I couldn't stop thinking about the building. Days passed, but the memory of the shadow, the whisper, the flickering lights clung to me. Curiosity gnawed at me, old habits die hard. I returned that evening. The side door was open again, exactly like last time. No wind. No explanation. The lobby felt different at night. Dark corners seemed darker, the dust heavier, almost settled in anticipation. I flicked on my flashlight and moved cautiously, ears straining for the faintest sound. The stairs creaked under my weight. The higher I went, the quieter it became, except for the faint humming of old fluorescent lights far ahead. On the fourth floor, I noticed something odd. A chair had been moved. From its cubicle to the center of the hallway. I froze. No one had been here before me. I circled it, flashlight tight in my grip. The chair was cold. No fingerprints. No sign of who could have put it there. And then I heard it. A soft scraping behind me. I spun around. Empty hallway. I reached the 5th floor. The long corridor stretched ahead, rows of abandoned offices on either side. I passed the glass door that led to the main office. The door clicked. Slowly. A lock turning by itself. I stopped. My flashlight flickered. Then I noticed the movement. A paper on one desk fluttered. No breeze. No one else. I leaned closer. It was a single page from an old report, typed on a typewriter long gone. The paper vibrated slightly, as if someone had touched it. The lights flickered again, buzzing in rhythm with my heartbeat. I decided to try the farthest office. Its door was half open, a sliver of dim yellow light spilling into the hallway. I pushed it cautiously. Inside, the room was empty. Desk chairs neatly tucked. Computers long dead. But the hum persisted. And then, faintly, I heard it. Stay. I froze. The whisper came from everywhere and nowhere. The air grew heavier, thick enough to press against my chest. A chair moved slowly across the floor, scraping without a sound of effort. I turned toward it. Nothing. And yet I knew someone, or something, was there. I spent nearly an hour tracing the offices. Doors that were once closed swung open silently. Desks that had been empty now held objects, pens, notepads, even a coffee cup I hadn't seen before. None of it made sense. I stepped into the hallway and felt it, the faint vibration of movement under my feet. The whisper again. Stay. I ran. Down the stairs, through the lobby, and out into the street. The night air hit me, cold and sharp, and the building went silent behind me. I wanted to believe it was over. I wanted to leave it alone. But I knew it wasn't finished. The building was alive. And it had noticed me. I couldn't stop thinking about the office. Every night, I imagined the shadows, the moving chair, the whisper. Curiosity had become obsession. So I returned the next evening, this time with equipment. My camera, tripod, and a small voice recorder. I told myself I was documenting, not investigating. But deep down, I knew I was trying to catch proof. The side door opened easily. No wind. No sound. The lobby felt colder than before. Dim light from the street outside barely touched the marble floor. I set up my camera in the hallway, aiming toward the far offices. The tripod creaked under my hands, sounding impossibly loud in the silence. I started the recording and stepped forward. As I climbed the stairs, the air seemed to thicken. Each step echoed in an unnatural rhythm. On the 2nd floor, I heard the faint hum again, the fluorescent lights flickering far ahead. And then, a soft scraping. I froze. Nothing. A chair slid slowly across the floor ahead, scraping lightly. I raised the camera, flashlight cutting a sharp line through the darkness. Empty. The office was empty. The 3rd floor felt different. A faint yellow glow spilled from under a door. I approached carefully. Inside, the room was still. But the desk held papers I hadn't seen before, typed pages, notebooks, even a pen that looked freshly used. I stepped closer. The pages vibrated slightly under my hand, like a subtle pulse. A shadow flickered across the wall. I spun. Nothing. And then I heard it. Stay. The whisper was soft, deliberate. Every nerve in my body screamed to leave. But I stayed. I moved to the 5th floor. Long hallways, rows of abandoned offices. I passed a door that had been closed before. Now it was half open, a faint glow spilling out. I aimed the camera. In the lens, I saw something I couldn't see with my eyes. A shadow. Standing near a desk. Tall, thin, head tilted. Watching me. I lowered the camera. Nothing was there. I raised it again. The shadow was back. I spent nearly an hour recording. Doors swinging open and closed by themselves. Chairs moving silently across floors. Papers fluttering as if touched by invisible hands. The whisper repeated. Stay. I left the building that night, heart pounding, hands shaking. But the recordings I reviewed later told a story my mind refused to believe. Lights turned on and off on their own. Shadows moved. Objects appeared and shifted. And in one frame, a faint reflection in a glass panel, I saw my own face. And behind it, the unmistakable silhouette of someone else. The office wasn't empty. It had been waiting for someone to notice. And now, it knew I was paying attention. After that night, I couldn't shake it. The images on the camera, the faint whispers, the objects moving on their own, they haunted me. Even at home, I felt it, a presence, a weight pressing from the shadows. I tried to ignore it at first. Told myself it was exhaustion, stress, paranoia creeping in after years of chasing criminals. But the sounds followed me. Soft scraping in my apartment hallway. Faint thumps behind closed doors. And the whisper, always the whisper. Stay. It wasn't coming from the office anymore. It was here. One morning, I noticed something on my desk. A pen moved slightly. A notebook opened to a blank page, but a single word written on it. Stay. I hadn't written it. I hadn't touched the notebook. The hair on my arm stood on end. I backed away, heart racing. Later, I saw it again. My keys were not where I left them. Slightly closer to the edge of the table, as if nudged by a careful hand. I set up cameras in my apartment. Recorded everything. Hours of empty rooms. And then, when I reviewed the footage, I saw it. A shadow flickered behind the couch. Nothing in the room could have caused it. It lingered just long enough to vanish when I moved closer. The whisper came through my speakers, soft, deliberate. Stay. I started marking the times. It always came between 2 o'clock and 3:30 a.m. Always the same rhythm. Always the same word. I slept with a baseball bat nearby. But that night, I awoke to the soft creak of a chair moving across my living room. I wasn't alone. The next day, I went back to the office. I needed answers. I needed to see if what I experienced at home was connected. The door swung open easily this time. The lobby was quiet. Too quiet. I moved through the hallways, cameras rolling. Lights flickered as before. Doors creaked. Footsteps echoed without origin. And then I saw it, a shadow in the far corner. Tall, thin, unmoving. Watching. Waiting. I raised the camera. It moved closer. Not walking, just gliding. And I realized, it didn't care about the law, the police, or me. It only cared that I noticed. By the time I left, I understood something I hadn't before. The office wasn't just a building. It wasn't just abandoned. It was alive. And it had followed me home. It's been 3 days since I returned to that office. 3 days of silence, no sleep, and the feeling that something is still here, standing just behind me when I turn away. The city outside moves on like nothing happened. Cars pass, people laugh, the world spins. But for me, it stopped. Right there, in that hallway where the lights flickered, where the shadows first began to move. Last night, I decided to end it. I packed my gear, grabbed my badge, and went back, one last time. The streets were empty when I arrived. Rain dripped down the windows of the building, blurring the reflection of the "closed until further notice" sign on the door. The same key still worked. It clicked, like it was waiting for me. Inside, the same smell, the same quiet. My boots echoed through the hallway. Every step sounded like someone following me a half-second later. I reached the main office. The lights didn't flicker this time. They just stayed off. Pitch black, except for the faint beam of my flashlight. The desk was there. The files. The chair I left tipped over. And then, my breath caught. On the wall, written in dust, were 5 words. I could see them only when my flashlight hit at an angle. "You never left the office." My pulse thundered. I stumbled back, the camera slipping from my hand. From somewhere behind me came the soft creak of a door opening. Slow. Measured. Like someone knew I would listen. The air grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me. And then the whisper, right next to my ear this time. "Stay." I ran. Didn't look back. Out the door, into the street, rain hitting my face like needles. But the sound followed, faint, fading, still there. I didn't stop until I reached my car. And when I looked up at the office windows, I saw it. A light in the room I'd just left. Flickering once. Then going dark. That was a week ago. I haven't gone back. No one has. But sometimes, at night, I hear the faint hum of those old fluorescent lights. And when I close my eyes, I see that phrase again. "You never left the office." And maybe I didn't.